If you're a professional wrestler by trade, odds are you have a few regrets. You know, like deciding to become a professional wrestler in the first place. That one's a biggie. As some of the most image-conscious people on the planet, you would perhaps think they would at least think long and hard before getting something permanently put on their bodies. But hey, people who land on their heads for a living can't always be counted on to exercise common sense now, can they? From well-intentioned romantic gestures to dodgy cover-ups, I'm Adam Paiges from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 regrettable wrestler tattoos. Join us!
But first, when you need the best possible protection, who do you turn to? Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar? Haku? Haku? Maybe get Bradshaw and Farouk out of retirement. AP? Nay! Don't be daft. If you want the best possible protection out there, then your choice should be none other than NordVPN. Cheers to Nord for sponsoring this video. We at Cultaholic truly believe that Nord is the best service of its kind. So here is how I use Nord. Obviously, I live in the United Kingdom, but with NordVPN, I can set myself to be anywhere in the world virtually and access content from those regions. So this means if I fancied it, I could set myself to be somewhere else in the world virtually and sign up for a certain sports entertainment network for a fraction of the price. Or if I happen to live in the United States, I could sign up for that sports entertainment network, even though it doesn't properly exist as it did in the United States before. So you can get all of the premium live events, the weekly shows, the historical stuff, all of that for a fraction of the price. Oh, and it works for plenty of other on-demand services too. Wink. On top of that, it protects against password attacks, phishing, ransomware, malware, and loads more. It is seriously an investment worth making, and one that, if you're smart about it, will pay for itself and more. Oh, and there's even a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if Nord isn't for you, you can get your money back, no bother at all. You can grab our exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/cultaholic. There is a link in the description below to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus 4 additional months for free. Can't say fairer than that. Enjoy the video.
Number 10, CM Punk's Lita Love. By no means a stranger to body art, CM Punk was positively tatted the F up when he entered into a relationship with Lita, a superstar who had herself a couple of pieces of notable ink, including, ironically, the word punk on the inside of her lower lip. While the flame-haired former women's champion unintentionally had her lad's moniker etched on her person, the straight-edge superstar himself very much knew what he was doing when he got a picture of the pair tattooed near the crook of his right arm in 2012. Because Punk already had so many tattoos on his arm, it sort of blended in. Eagle-eyed fans, however, were quick to spot it before presumably cracking on with their 200-page CM Punk and Lita fanfic. Punk may have gotten a permanent reminder of their love, but the union itself wouldn't last. He would break up with the future Hall of Famer and start dating future wife AJ Lee, a self-admitted Lita superfan, instead. Number 9, Will Ospreay's All In commemoration. All In 2023 provided plenty of reasons for All Elite Wrestling to celebrate. A slam dunk of a show, even a little Phil Brooks backstage argy-bargy couldn't put a dampener on the fact that the guys and girls of AEW had knocked it out of the park in front of a packed Wembley Stadium. Not only that, the promotion set the all-time paid attendance for professional wrestling by shifting over 80,000 tickets. Will Ospreay was so moved by the occasion that he got a tattoo on his left arm to commemorate it, displaying the date of the show in Roman numerals, the coordinates of Wembley Stadium, the start time of his match with Chris Jericho, and the 81,035 attendance figure. The native Englishman proudly displayed his pride at having been involved in such a historic show. Well, for about a day anyway, because it soon emerged that the actual turnstile attendance for the show was in fact 72,265. After WrestleNomics released their figures, the aerial assassin posted a quickly deleted video bemoaning his haste while pointing out how hard the decision to get a tattoo was in the first place because his mum hates them. Oh, bruv. Number 8, Cody's neck tattoo. Cody Rhodes had the appearance of a classic pro wrestling babyface. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and handsome in that clean-cut sort of way, the American Nightmare looked like the all-American boy next door. And then he went and got a giant red, white, and blue splodge that covered half his neck. Cody had previously gotten some meaningful ink when he had the word dream tattooed across his left pectoral. Strategically placed right about where the heart is, the word was a tribute to his father, the late great Dusty Rhodes, aka the American Dream. That garish logo he had branded on his neck was pretty much a tribute to himself. Not that there's anything wrong with a bit of self-promotion, of course, but the tattoo rightfully got him mocked by both fans and his fellow wrestlers. In fact, even Cody's own wife Brandy admitted that she didn't like it. Cody himself has since said that the tat ended up being about twice the size of what the artist originally drew. The wrestling world has gotten used to it over the past couple of years, but it took some doing. I just hope when he finally wins the big one, he will do the right thing and get a full-size WWE title belt tattooed across his tummy. Number 7, Bron Breakker's Goldberg tribute. You're probably too proud to admit it now, but if you were watching WCW in the late 90s, you were 100% a massive Goldberg mark. We all were, because he was absolutely class. I mean, what's not to love about some jacked up former football player who tears people in two with a spear and walks through fireworks to get to the ring? Bron Breakker was clearly a fan of his old man's co-worker, because he got a suspiciously similar tattoo to the former WCW champion on his left arm. During an appearance on the Out of Character podcast, Bron admitted that the tat was due to his Goldberg fandom. He also said he regretted doing it, calling it a mistake and noting that he was 18 and thus an idiot incapable of making good decisions, I guess, when he got it done. In fairness to Bron, there's a lot of naff tribal-style tattoos in wrestling, and his is really no worse than any of the others, at least on the surface. To him, it was the markish origins and his own shame in having it that ultimately set his one apart. Number 6, John Tenter's Shark. John Tenter's tiger tattoo caused him issues when he was making a name for himself as a sumo star in Japan during the 1980s. Japanese culture frowned upon public displays of ink, as tattoos were associated with unseemly characters like gangsters, so Tenter had to cover it up for his matches. The tat wasn't any old tiger tattoo, mind. It was a Louisiana State University tiger, acting as a reminder of Tenter's days as an NCAA level wrestler for LSU. It may have contained sentiments, but Tenter wasn't above modifying the design to fit his gimmick. After re-emerging in WCW as the Shark toward the tail end of 1995, the man formerly known as Earthquake suggested that he turn the big cat picture into one of the ocean's deadliest predator. The process took 24 hours to complete, all told, and left Tenter with a new, bolder tattoo that took up much more space. Was it admirable commitment to a gimmick or a short-sighted blunder? Unfortunately for Tenter, the Shark pretty much flopped, and he was forced to live with a painful visual reminder of the fact for the rest of his life. Number 5, Perry Saturn's face tattoo. Everything about Perry Saturn was intimidating. He had the ripped physique, menacing aura, and cross-eyed death stare of a man you could just tell by looking at had at least some military experience. The one-time Army Ranger also had some gnarly-looking tattoos, including skulls, dragons, and even his own surname across his stomach. Presumably so you could look up and know exactly who was kicking your head in as he was doing it. Big Pez disappeared from public view for several years, but when he emerged, he had a new piece of ink for all to see, a Mike Tyson-esque face tattoo. Discussing the decision to get a face tattoo on his Kayfabe Commentaries U-shoot, Saturn revealed that he was messed up on drugs at the time and doesn't even really remember getting it done. Those must have been some pretty powerful drugs, because if somebody took a hot needle to my face, I don't think there's anything on the planet that could dull the memory of that experience. The former WWE European Champion was in a very bad place at the time, and thankfully was able to come out on the other side of it, albeit with a permanent souvenir. Number 4, Brock Lesnar's chest sword. From one super scary hard nut to another altogether different beast. Beast being the operative word in this instance. Brock Lesnar seemingly had the world at his feet when he stunningly decided to leave WWE right around the time of WrestleMania 20. Vince McMahon was naturally none too happy about losing one of his biggest attractions, and someone his company had invested so much money in, and had WWE's legal team try to prevent Brock from working anywhere else for 6 years. When the next big thing's NFL dream didn't pan out, he found himself tied up in a legal battle with Titan Sports, and his bank balance rapidly diminishing. Feeling as though he had a sword at his throat, Brock did the only reasonable thing. He got a giant sword pointing at his throat tattooed on his his massive torso. Lesnar got the ink to act as a constant reminder of how he felt in that moment and to inspire him to fight back if ever times got tough. Times never got tough again, really, as Brock parlayed his freakish athleticism into a successful UFC career and then returned to WWE as a conquering hero. However, that phallic-looking thing on his chest remains. Number 3, Kos Taurus. Out of the millions and millions of wrestler tattoos, one stands above the rest as perhaps the most recognizable in all of sports entertainment. Dwayne Johnson may have given the Brahma Bull on his right arm a supersized upgrade which took about 30 hours to complete, but the original version was one of his trademarks with variations of it emblazoned on all manners of merch. One look at the right arm of Kevin Owens may have you thinking he had pulled a Bron Breakker and got his skin sketched in honor of his favorite wrestler. But look a little closer and you would see it wasn't actually a Brahma Bull, but rather a Taurus, the prizefighter's star sign. KO took a generic design from the internet, but added a nose ring without realizing the People's Champion's bull tat also had a similar piercing. Any similarity was unintentional, but perhaps Owens got sick of the assumptions because he also, like The Rock, had more ink added to the original and now has a right arm full of all kinds of wacky and wonderful pictures. Number 2, Paige's fist warning. A self-professed wild child with a rebellious streak, it is no surprise to find out Paige got some tattoos she lived to regret. Honestly, she'll be drinking White Lightning outside the corner shop and stealing her mum's cigarettes before you know it. Of the numerous tattoos she has on her body, the ones that unfortunately stick out the most are the matching set on the side of her right and left hands. On one, she has Talk Sugar, and on the other one, she has Get Bit. Put them together and you have a stern warning from the anti-diva. Not too terribly long after getting them done, however, the then 26-year-old freely confessed that having an expletive put on her hand was probably not the best idea. Coming at a time when it looked as though her in-ring career might have been over for good, she conceded that it could have prevented her from getting acting gigs and expressed her desire to get them removed or at least covered up with something less offensive. She has yet to do so, which must be the reason Meryl Streep keeps on getting all those movie roles. Number 1, The Undertaker's. The Undertaker's portrayal of an unstoppable zombie mortician was scary enough before he decided to add an extra layer of menace by getting inked up like a Hell's Angels member. Along with sleeves of demons and skulls, the Phenom also got BSK marked onto his stomach in tribute to the so-called Bone Street crew members he knocked about with backstage. Showing a softer side after transitioning into the American Badass version of his gimmick, Taker gave a rare peek into his personal life by getting the name of his wife tattooed on his throat. Now, you might think there's a couple of risky things about getting a tattoo like that. There's the question of, what if we get a divorce? And, you know, the whole letting a man stab your throat with needles business to consider as well. Well, the pain of getting the tattoo done probably didn't compare to the pain of the divorce, or the subsequent procedure to cover up Sarah's name with a different, more elaborate design. Mark, if you're watching, please resist the urge to get McCool plastered on your massive forehead. Thanks for watching!